Welcome to Blake Street Banter, where one of us knows what the word banter means and the other two are just along for the ride. Noah, say what's up, big dog.
Hey, it's good to be back on the pod. Always a good time.
Glad to have you back, and this is kind of a big one. We are joined by Rockies prospect Michael Prosecky. What up, big dog?
Not much. I appreciate you guys having me on. It's an honor.
Yeah, it was fun to watch you last year do your thing, and it's like, all right, let's try to get that guy on, tell his story. So the fact that you were down willing to come on, it's fantastic.
No doubt.
Let's do this. So, I mean, where are you at right now? So we're recording this in the middle of February, probably releasing middle of March. So it's a little bit timeline. So you are where right now?
Right now, I'm in Scottsdale. I've actually been in Arizona the whole time. Pretty much, I drove straight after we had the weird ending in Fresno that we did.
Yeah.
So pretty much came straight back down here. I was super blessed with my living situation. So it was training down here. Pretty much I got away from the cold of Chicago, which I'm not mad at. Been down in the desert ever since. So it's been fun. Right now we're in Scottsdale though. So
yeah. So a summer in Arizona, is that a first for you?
The summer, yeah. Or actually it was the first winter I've had in Arizona.
Yeah.
And
I always get that
was so much better. So much
Yeah.
better. Like I'm not walking outside and in pain every single time the wind hits my face. So I'm not too mad at it.
Yeah. We're both Northerners. Noah's down in Indy, I believe, and I'm in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So
yeah,
that winter that you're speaking of, I get it.
It's always the wind and not the snow. It's just the wind that whips through your coats and everything.
Most Midwest thing you could say. It would be cold if it wasn't for the wind. So it wouldn't be cold if it wasn't for the wind.
Yeah, it's a whole different beast. So down in Arizona, where was it like part play, part work? Like what was this off season like?
Mostly nothing but work. I was actually like residing down in Chandler, but training up in Scottsdale at Driveline for a little bit. So it was like 45-minute hike every day, but was worth it. So it was actually a lot of work. I didn't do too much. It was honestly really nice. So after the first long season like that, I wouldn't change it.
Yeah. And that's something we'll probably get into later because you had a long season, especially compared to your collegiate career. So I'm definitely interested in diving into that. But Chicago, so drafted. No, let's start in high school. We're all over the place. It's been a while since we've done a full banter session. So bear with us. So Illinois, Nazareth Academy outside of Chicago there.
Yes, sir.
You had quite the track record in high school. I was doing the research and it's pretty insane. I guess, how did you kind of handle all of that? Because like you were the number 3 perfect game cat in Illinois, the number 1 left-handed pitcher. Like you have all these early top ranks, so to speak. And I can only imagine me as a 16, 17, 18-year-old with any kind of talent. Like I was the head case without any talent. So like with the talent in itself, I can only imagine what that was like. But like, how did you kind of stay humble, stay grounded through all of that?
It was different. And honestly, I just kind of credit all that to the people I was around. Like obviously my family was a big part, but I'm still super close with all my best friends that, I went to high school with, and my closest friends were my neighbors growing up. So like, even like before any of that, when we were all like, we would all just go to like the soccer field behind our house and just mess around doing whatever. So it was, I would say a lot of it was just the people, and that like the people that have been in my corner are a huge part of like who I am today. So I would say just back then it was just about having fun with it, because it was very new, it was very unexpected. But at the end of the day, it was fun. Like I just had fun every day in high school playing baseball. So that's pretty much, I think, the answer to that one.
Yeah, like you're as strong as your people, like keeping them close and like that.
No doubt, yeah.
I mean, you were throwing 86 as a freshman, and so like that's insane to me. Like so, like little 14-year-old Mike just roaming the halls, like I'm just gonna go sling 86 real quick, which is just insane. Was baseball it at that point, or were you still the 3-point sport athlete? Were you doing other things? Like how was your high school athletic career kind of help that baseball prospect?
it feels like it was so long ago already, and it really wasn't. That's the most messed up part. But
Right.
I think after my freshman year is when I kind of just focused on baseball, because that's where I realized where like I had the most potential, because I was like, basketball is still probably my second favorite sport. Like I love to I'll like randomly go shoot around whenever I can. Like it's a good time. Like obviously not doing too much now, but it's a good time. Pretty much just like those three sports growing up were all dominated. Like in soccer season, I wanted to be a soccer player. In basketball season, I wanted to go be a basketball player. And then baseball rolled around. Like it was, each season was like, no, this is what I want to do. I was that kind of kid. So it was a tougher decision to put the other two down, but baseball was definitely like, the challenge of it was like the most intriguing part to me. Like the concept of, even if you suck, you're still really good. Like that part of it was really, that part was really intriguing to me. And I wasn't even a pitcher until I was like 14 or 15, one of the two. I was an outfielder for a really long time, so I used to love to swing it, but it was tough, but baseball was definitely what we settled on for sure. So
yeah, my baseball career ended freshman year of high school. So hearing that you were throwing 86, I mean, it's just insane, because I couldn't touch whatever they were throwing there. I am curious with, in just the past couple of years, social media has like taken off with how talent is able to be found at the high school level. How early, I mean, you didn't start pitching till you were 14, 15. How early were scouts coming to look at you to where you were being recruited and you're like, okay, like I have something here?
That whole process for me was super quick. It was my fall of my sophomore year. Because I think just freshman year, like the issue with that, like I also like it was coming out hot for my age, but no idea where it was going. Still kind of struggle with where it's going a little bit. You can look at the numbers for that sometimes. Like, but so I like would obviously get like random bouts of like tendonitis or something, because like I'm a young kid, undersized, whatever. But my sophomore fall is really when I went to my first like perfect game event down in Fort Myers, like the big one. That was like that team was really fun. It was like a collection of like all the travel teams in like the Chicago, Wisconsin area. So it was just like the best players from those teams like all combined, and that was a lot of fun. And my whole recruiting process, I was committed to Louisville 2 weeks after that tournament. So they saw me there. Oh, wow. The next week I was on a visit, then I committed. So it was super quick.
Jeez. Yeah, that's hyper sped up.
It was very quick. Yeah.
So like as a kid from the North, and just when baseball is not year round, like you can kind of make it happen, but it's really, really difficult. Like it's hard up here. So like, was that perfect game kind of how you were able to be seen? Like, did you have to go perfect game, like to be able to be seen by anybody?
I wouldn't say like you have to go perfect game, especially nowadays, like with what you said, how it's all over the place. Like there's guys, like there's been countless guys that get signed to organizations because of a Twitter video. Their stuff is that good and they just haven't been seen yet. So, I mean, back then though, definitely like just getting to that big event kind of catapulted everything for me in high school. And it was, I think like at the end of the day, like it's a cliche, but it was just because like it was a fun team to be on. Like everybody on that team, there's a lot of guys still playing, whether it's college or they're in a system right now. So it was different, but it was fun. And I would say that event definitely was the one that kind of changed it for sure.
Yeah, put things in perspective. Like, okay, this is real now. Like, again, especially as a sophomore, like it's just crazy. I work in a school, and so I had some football players getting recruited, and they just signed their letter of intent last week, and that was a whole process for them, like going down to tour campuses, make sure that was the right fit. And then they got a late offer, and they're like, oh, I might have to switch, I might have to do this or that, or any of the, like all that involved. Again, like 17, 18-year-olds, they handled it really well. They had a fantastic support system, but there's just so much pressure that goes along with that it's, I don't know, I can just see it being kind of daunting.
Oh, no doubt,
at
no
certain
doubt.
events.
Especially, with everything being out in the open with the social media, it's crazy. It's wild
Yeah.
times now, but
So I did see. So I'm a product of Nebraska, and that's where I
Mhm,
kind of grew up. And I saw that you had 3 or 4 different options. It was Duke, Nebraska, and Illinois, and then Louisville. Was
mhm.
was Nebraska even an option for you? Like you
They
could have
were
helped turn
my
that
that was
program
my very
around.
first collegiate phone call.
Okay.
I think his name was, Silva. It was Coach Silva,
Okay.
and, that was my first one, so that was obviously daunting. That was a daunting experience for me, but
Yeah.
I was kinda still just at the time, like, super, like, "What the hell is going on?" Like, I don't even
Right.
know what's going on here, and, um, it definitely was, like, I was definitely weighing options, and then Louisville was really aggressive with the recruiting for me and got me on campus, like, within a week. So like, there was a couple. The Birdie brothers played for my travel organization. Nick and Zach Birdie, they played for my travel team. So
Okay.
they were like the guys we all heard about, and we're like, you got to be like these guys. And so they obviously were two of Louisville's best closers of all time. So that decision was a lot to do with just like what I had heard before and just what I had known about the program already. And it was the perfect storm of circumstances for me when that
Right.
happens. That's what made that decision super quick for me. But I definitely was probably as open as they came at the time. Just
Mhm.
really tried to take it all in and enjoy it. So
Yeah, you have to. And it's hard to turn down a Louisville program like that. Just a powerhouse, a baseball powerhouse for so long. Like they're always there.
it was,
Like
it was crazy. That one was the biggest shakeup for sure. That
right.
one changed everything. So
Yeah, like you're going to just a powerhouse. It was a few summers ago. We did a trip down to Louisville. We did like down to Asheville, Louisville, all
hmm,
that. And we went to the Downs, the racetrack down there. And like
yeah.
the ballpark is right across the street from that. I was
Oh
like,
yeah. Literally right
this is
there. Like
insane. Like it's
at school,
all
we have
so
to
close.
travel every time the Derby's in town because they use the stadium for additional
Yeah.
parking and stuff like that. So it's never
I had no
actually
idea.
went to the Derby because we couldn't, but I actually was already done with my junior year by the time my girlfriend dragged me to Churchill Downs. So
To actually go see the Churchill
yeah, to
Downs that
actually
you
see
literally
something.
were playing across from for 3 years.
Yeah, we literally look at it every day in practice and we're like, eh,
Yeah, it's just horses. It's just a
yeah,
racetrack. Doesn't matter.
you know.
It was pretty cool.
Oh, it's the
I'm sure.
coolest place. It's the
Like
coolest
once you're
place.
in there, it's like holy crap, this is
Yeah.
insane.
Like
It
I
sounds
was, and
so.
I'm like a history dork, so I was just like walking around seeing all the dates, and I was like, "Yo, what do we got here?" Like it was
Yeah,
really cool.
it is cool. And the facility at Louisville Baseball Park was cool. Like I don't get to see a lot of college baseball fields when I'm up where I'm up here. It's a
Mhm.
lot of D2, D3 stuff. So like going by and seeing, I saw the Louisville players on. Shoot, you might even been on the wall at the time because it was 2000. It would have been summer 22. You might have been on the one of the pictures on the walls there.
My
You didn't
roommate
even know.
was. I think they got Rushing up there because that's like the All American
Okay.
wall, and
Yeah.
Dalton Rushing was my roommate, so he was. I think they put him up there either that fall or maybe in the summer, like after he officially signed and left. But yeah, it's a cool. The way they do it is pretty cool.
Yeah. It's fun. Love that. So I mean, so college, pretty crazy. That
Oh yeah,
2020 season. We've talked to a few people about that in the past, and like Chris McMahon, we had him on a few weeks ago. Like when we sat down with him the first time, he's like, "Yeah, I was dominating," and then we just like ended, and
yeah,
it was
that's
just
it.
like
Yeah,
cut short, and here you are. And that was your freshman season. Like, hey, here's college
correct.
baseball. Go do your thing, and then oh no, wait, we're gonna change our mind in like 15 games and do that.
Oh yeah.
How was I guess the team, you as a freshman, like how was all of that kind of encompassing the pandemic,
Oh yeah,
COVID season?
as a crew, we were not happy at the time because that my freshman year we walked in as preseason number one because we
Yeah.
had two first rounders as Friday and Saturday with Detmers and Miller, who are big leaguers now.
Hmm.
Um, and so we weren't too happy about it, but we were literally in practice getting ready to play Notre Dame, who was undefeated at the time. It was actually going to be like a big weekend. And then like practice was just over. Like it ended like in the middle of practice, and everybody's refreshing Twitter, seeing the College World Series was canceled. Everybody that was an interesting point for sure. We all thought the season was going to pick back up. I didn't even move out totally of my dorm. I had to go back in like May and go get the rest of my stuff. So,
they kicked you like out.
Oh yeah, we were done. That was it.
I didn't know how college kind of did that. I guess I don't think I ever thought about it. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. So then 2021 hit, got the shoulder strain injury.
Oh, yeah.
So what was it? 8 innings that year? Was that before or after the strain?
Both. I had
a mix.
So I entered the season as my freshman year. I had like 3 midweek starts because I was still a starter at the time. And then my sophomore year entered. I was competing for a weekend role. Got the midweek, and then our Friday night starter got COVID. He tested positive for COVID, so I slid to Friday. So that was my first. That was the first 3 innings. Didn't go well. Then I had a relief appearance. Didn't go well. Didn't pitch for 2 months. Came back. Didn't go well. So yeah, I mean, it's all out there. Like if anybody's curious, it's all out there. It's on the internet. So, but it was sophomore year was definitely a big growing year without a doubt.
Yeah, like going to the injury and going back, like, so what was the rehab like? Like, how was your mental state? Like, I can again imagine, all right, I'm fighting for that Friday spot. Like, this is gonna be sick. I'm gonna get it. And then setback, didn't go well. Like, what was the mindset of 19, 20-year-old Mike there?
Without a doubt, didn't really know how to handle it because it was like freshman year. My last start before the COVID shutdown, literally the day before the COVID shutdown was my last start. And it was a good one. So I was thinking like, I'd struggled my first 2. I was like, all right, we're starting to adjust, and had a decent summer at a like Indianapolis league that a lot of the guys went to that were in the area. So went into it. I was way more comfortable than I should have been. Definitely, like that's what I mean by it was like a growing point. It was a learning experience for me because it was the first point where I like really struggled and like couldn't figure out why I wasn't performing. And so that whole spring was just kind of learning how to take stuff on the chin and just keep moving forward without really diving too deep into it. So it was a big point, and I honestly like kind of credit that as being like one of the bigger experiences I've had. Like the tough experiences, nobody wants to have them, but you have to have them. So
yeah, like those setbacks just make you a little bit better person.
Yeah, you learn. Yeah, you just learn
as a player. So. Yeah, like you have to go through some kind of adversity to figure out what you actually need. Like if you're just kicking ass all the time, like what do you actually need to work on? How do you find things to work on and that kind of stuff?
Right.
And then being humbled early is never a bad thing. Like,
oh yeah, like I remember I didn't even want to report to summer ball in the Cape. I was like, I'm not like the confidence gets shattered. You get floored a little bit. So you're like, I was saying to my roommates, I was like, I don't even want to go anymore, dude. I was like, this is
not doing it.
Yeah. I was like, the Cape, I'm going to get exposed, dude. But luckily we had a good time. I had a really good time out there. So it was fun.
Can you think of a moment that like switched it for you? Like, all right.
Honestly, I credit it with my host family that I had out there. They're still some of the best people I had, and just like being able to go back to them, it felt like a real family, the way they handled myself and my roommate. And it was just like a reset, just getting to see different people, and kind of learned like I was super tied into like how I was doing on the field was dictating how I was as a person off the field. So kind of like learning that separation was a big key for me. And they were a big piece of that without a doubt. So it goes back to like the circle and the people that are backing you. Like I think those are the most important pieces of the puzzle. So.
Yeah. And you went and dominated. Like, yeah, you had a really good year. I didn't even like look at it earlier when I was doing my research, so to speak. Yeah. That 2.35 ERA, 15 innings. Like 21 strikeouts. Like, so whatever that was, whatever that little life nugget they dropped, it definitely
It was a big one. It was a big one.
Kind of helped there. Yeah. And I'm sure you probably think of that kind of stuff daily. Like
now, yeah, before that whole ordeal of the spring that I had, I wouldn't have even like batted an eye at it, but just kind of like being opened and, God kind of slapping me in the face, like, look around, bro. Like you have plenty of people here that, are great people and want to see you succeed. So it's up to you what you do with it. So,
and with that experience, I just have to think as a teammate, it also kind of, you mentioned God slapping you in the face, showing you, this mentality and this mental switch. Did it help you to become a better teammate to your roommates and the other guys that, if they're
without a doubt. Yeah. Without a doubt. Because I think like one thing that we talked about at the camp we had in January was like stories and experiences are like some of the best ways to relate to people. And just kind of having that under my belt of like things not going the way you planned it to. Like that's a big piece to be able to kind of relate. And especially going back as a junior after that and kind of being an unintentional like leader of the team because you're an upperclassman, it's literally just by like process of elimination. It definitely helped a lot. And I think that like a lot of guys were in that boat going into that year. I think that's why we were able to turn it around and make a super regional after we had missed the postseason that year. So it was a collective thing where a lot of guys were like learning a lot of things at the same time. It was really weird, but it was really cool at the same time.
Yeah. Like we hear that all the time about things just click for a team, like the Rocktober 2007, right? You hear about all that. Some of the guys a little bit older than you in the system had 2021 in Spokane, like where everything was just clicking. Like Chris was talking about that a few weeks ago. Like everybody was just clicking. You just go out there and you just kind of lean on each other. And like, you could just like, there is a little bit different bond, so to speak, of the teammates. But like when you were just that close and you kind of understand each other and you could just lean on each other and trust each other. It's a little bit different.
Without a doubt. I honestly feel like the Fresno team that we had this past season was very similar to that too.
Yeah,
like everybody in the locker room was like just open. Everybody like spent time. Nobody like there was no like clicking like separation of groups or anything like that. Like the group in Fresno that we had from start to finish, whether guys left or not, like it was a really good group. It's a really good group of guys. So
yeah, Stephen Rice can vouch for that. That was one of the things we talked to him at the end of the season last year, and he was just like, they're just this group. It's different, and pretty much exactly what you said. He would echo it from afar, from the outside. Like he just saw things a little bit different. Like you guys were having fun, and everybody knew everybody, and it's just he saw it from his side, and so I can only imagine being part of that team and. With however the playoffs of the California League stuff works out, it's still confusing. It's so dumb, but you guys did everything you were supposed to. But yeah,
right, yeah. At that point, it was out of our control, and we knew we did what we could. Like having that record after such a long year, it's enough to kind of be like, we got something going here,
right?
Whether or not it's it ends in a postseason banner or not, we did our jobs. So,
right. I think this is a stupid question. I'm gonna ask it, but like, does that even matter to you? Like the postseason part, like of low A minor league, like is that something that's kind of a thing for you all?
We definitely want to win. Like, and I think the inside player thing, it's the same thing as like summer ball. It's like you're there, might as well win. Like it's like we're here to win. Our job is to win. Like if everybody does their job, you win. So that's kind of how it goes. And like we were pretty confident at like going into that last week. We were like, we just got to win 4. We just have to win the series. That's all we got to do. And cards weren't in our favor, but it's tough to beat a team that wins 23 games straight, whatever it was. So. Yeah, and it was tough because one of my best friends he was drafted in this past draft, and he actually finished with Modesto, so he wound up just getting a free ring out of it.
Like,
He had a couple of really good quality starts, so he was a big piece, but it was a tougher pill to swallow, especially with a good friend on the other side. But
right, like you should have paid your dues a little bit. Like you can't just show up and, like get a ring. Look, this that's not how this is work. This is professional ball. But no, we're gonna do things different in the minors. That's funny. I do want to go back a little bit to Louisville. Going back to the kind of the leadership, the impromptu leadership. I found this article. I would like you to talk a little bit about it. But how did you choose your team for the Omaha Challenge Draft? And what is this draft?
That was actually one of the
against each other.
That was one of the most fun times. Like when I got randomly picked for that by our strength coach, I was actually pretty excited. The way you pick that is you got to have a mix. You got to have a mix because it's power events, it's speed events, endurance. So I actually took a lot of time with a draft board. I went full GM on it.
Nice.
Full GM sitting there with a list, thinking about because we see how we work out, we see what guys are good at, all this stuff. And like I had a really solid list. Like my first round was pretty good. I will say that was one of my better jobs of drafting without a doubt. I've had worse luck in fantasy sports, but definitely I was proud of that one.
Yeah, it's different when you can see the talent firsthand,
right?
And then you get to handpick the talent. What were some of the competitions? Like what is this thing? I'm assuming it's a Louisville thing.
Man, we had the toughest event for me was always like the tire flip because it's just a power event over and over and over. But we had like our truck push where we would push an F-250 around the Kentucky Expo Center as it's in neutral. So that's where you got to have guys that can push it up the hills. You got to have the strength guys, and you got to have the guys that can keep up with the truck once it's going downhill. That one always sucked. We would swim. The swimming was always tough for us because you're just constantly doing stuff. Like I don't know how Olympic swimmers do it. I really don't. After getting an Omaha Challenge taste of it, because we're just a bunch of scrubs who run around on a baseball field. We're not supposed to be in a pool.
Right.
So it was, like full body cramps after. It wasn't fun, but it honestly, like looking back on it, like it sucked in it, but like you see why you do it as a team because it really is a good time.
Yeah.
Even with that little bit about the struggle to swim, it's funny because the general consensus is you can put a baseball player in any sport and he'll compete, and then you put a basketball player in the box and he's not touching anything. Yeah. So
I mean we had basketball as an event too, and we had some hoopers. Like we had one of the guys was like Kentucky's like leading scorer, like high school leading scorer or something like that. Or he like set his record for his conference. And so we had some hoopers, we had some guys that swam growing up. Like there's guys like you see like guys come from everywhere and do everything.
Mm-hmm.
So you got guys that are weirdly good at like the most obscure thing that you can imagine. Like you put a teammate in a pool and he's swimming down and back in 40 seconds. It's like what are we doing? Like what do you like?
You're not supposed to be able to do that.
No, it's like you're making everybody else look terrible. Like
now you're just being mean and rubbing it in.
Yeah, it's like, come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's not many pools up in the north, so that's our excuse up here. Like we just couldn't find the time to get into.
Oh yeah, we had some fish for sure, without a doubt.
That's awesome. That's fun. But like I imagine that's part of the experience and just adds to it. And like you said, the camaraderie that comes along with it,
mm-hmm.
and just a good time. Like there's definitely something in there. That's fun.
Oh, no doubt.
Do you miss hitting at all? Like you had one collegiate. Okay, trivia. You had one collegiate at bat.
I was hoping this came up.
Do you know who it was against and what your outcome was?
What my at bat was?
Mm-hmm.
It was a extra inning at bat at Boston College in the beginning of April. Runners on first and second. Took the first pitch after squaring to bunt. And laid down a mean sacrifice right after that. So technically 0 for 0.
Yep, it's in the stat book and it looks fantastic. Like if they do get rid of
our social media tweeted out like every time a home run they would post like the analytics of it, like how far exit velo, and they took the time to put it on the bunt. So I'll take it. That's a little awesome. 18-foot dribbler, baby.
We're gonna have to go find that clip. I'm gonna put that in the notes here.
Oh, I have the video on my camera roll without a
Okay,
doubt.
maybe you just send that in the DMs.
Yeah,
to
like
us.
I'm no Agnos, getting at bats in a super regional, but if it came down to it, you needed a bunt down, I'm your guy.
Right.
I'm your
Speaking of
guy.
freaks, right? I mean, okay. So, I mean, did you and Agnos ever have any of those conversations? Because, like, you're going reliever to starter, which we're going to dive into a little bit.
Mhm.
But Dude Man's going from two-way to closer, which he had a little
he's
closing
nuts.
experience at ECU, but he had a
Right.
hell of a season, like absolutely
Unreal.
insane, right? Like, but did you
Unreal.
guys ever talk about like switching roles from collegiate to pro and like how everything's a little bit different? But I don't know what the question is.
Honestly, not too much. Like he was a closer himself, like in college, like it's what he had done before. He was super comfortable with it, and it was his first time just kind of like only doing that. So he honestly, like, probably, not to like put words in his mouth, but I'm guessing like he was on top of his routine every time. Like you could literally just see it. Like he knew how to read the game when he was going in. Like he had it down. He was ready. But during BP, he was trying to take some hacks. I remember that. He would try to step up and take some hacks. Stain's another one. Stain loves swinging.
Does he? Okay.
Yeah, we were on the same summer ball team, and we got pitchers batting practice, and he put on a pretty good show, I will say. But so he can swing it a little bit. He was on Steve about letting him take some BP. Everybody's on Steve. They just want to take some swings.
Just put me in there, coach. Yeah. Agnos was all about that. When we talked to him for a little bit, he's like, yeah, I was just out there. I was always just saying, just putting it out there. He never let me.
He always be like, hey, he was like,
I just gotta be ready.
That's all he would do. But
that's funny. But yeah, just the switching the roles things. I thought maybe it's fun. So professional ball, like you had a season, man. It was pretty cool. Like again, you went reliever, crazy college career reliever to starter, and you were one of 4, 5, or 6 guys in the system that went 100 innings plus, which is insane. Coming 40 innings most in college or something.
Yeah, I think I had like 60 total over 3 years, just with the circumstances of everything. So yeah,
and so like that has to take a toll. Like most outings, I think you only went less than 5 in 3 outings. You're 86 pitches, like 80 pitches average, at least an outing. What was your body like in August, September? Like it's got to be different, especially with the Cali heat.
Honestly, yeah. Weirdly enough, I felt better in like August through the end of it than I did in like June. I think it was kind of like a runner's high type of thing where like I was getting kicked like in the middle of the year. I was really feeling it, but after that, just really started to fall into that routine without having to think about it, and got like body adjusted to the routine of the bullpens and the starts and the workload, and kind of managing that. Learned how to manage a lot better. So weirdly enough, like I felt the best at like July, August, and through the end of it than I did compared to like May, June, towards the middle. So I'm thankful for it. Like that's my biggest thing is I was able to, like, the biggest thing I'm thankful for is I was able to go from start to finish without any hiccups. So especially after the sophomore year that I had with flare-ups and tendonitis and stuff like that. So I wasn't asking questions. I was just feeling good and running with it. So
yeah, right. Obviously something's working correctly, and we're not going to push that envelope, especially with
yeah, because all of us are big feel guys too. Like if we feel good, we're way better off. So we just do whatever we can to make our bodies feel like as good as we can get them. So
right. So how did that conversation go about? We talked a little bit to Kate Denton, who was drafted, and he was telling us like he's still deciding if he was going reliever or starter. I'm pretty sure it's been decided he's going reliever. I don't know if that's actually official though. I don't think he told us. But so I'm imagining you're going through the same kind of process this time last year or whatever. Like how did you kind of decide like, all right, let's go all in on the starting role?
Yeah, I mean, my agent actually before the draft was adamant. He was like, no matter where you wind up, they're going to try and make you a starter, whether it's going to get brought up. So like
Okay.
mentally I was kind of already like prepared for it and expecting it. And just the guys up, the shot callers up top, you know, they broke it down. And in the long run, like for my development of like command and secondaries and stuff like that, it was the better play because I get the bullpens in between the starts. So I get to feel out what my stuff is doing and learn how to turn lineups over. And it just kind of increased the versatility that I can have. So it was honestly for me a pretty easy decision, especially just like with the arsenal I had at the time was closer to that of a starter, of a traditional starter. So I was pretty much on board with it from the go, and got the first experiences in instructs after the draft. I would go like 3 innings in instructs, like most of the guys. So it was honestly pretty easy. And looking at it now, like after that whole season, falling into that routine, I'm happy with it so far. So.
Right. Like, yeah, it obviously worked out like 125 strikeouts and 109 innings, 2.72 ERA. This is where we get to brag about you for a little bit. So hopefully your mom is listening. So she hears us.
Oh yeah. Shout out, Mom. How you doing, Mom?
Shout out Mom Prosecky there. Just like insane. 125 at home, which is insane with the at Chicansey Park. So you're obviously we're doing stuff well. I guess like what would you kind of credit to that success? Like you don't see that very often with a professional. Like Connor Stain, he was kind of up and down, especially at the beginning of the season, trying to find his groove. He found it at the end, and like, he was somebody I was tuning into. Every chance I could. Like insane pop on that fastball.
But he found it. He found it.
But like you didn't really seem to kind of have the ups and downs. I'm sure you probably tell a different story, but like the stat line itself, so to speak. I guess what do you kind of credit to? Is it that routine? Is it again the people around you? Is it
I would honestly say the biggest piece of it was Cody Huff.
Okay.
And
yeah.
How like he was what he did with us as a staff as a whole, like the relievers and the starters, the homework he did, and Betancourt too. I threw to Betancourt for the first half of the season, and as young as he is, he's on it. Like he's a quick learner, quick adjuster. He's fun to throw to too. But what like the groove started to happen with Cody just because of the homework he did and starting to do homework myself. That was a Stain inspired move to really kind of dive into the other teams before starts and just see what we're working with. And Cody back there, he was a general. So we were really sad to see him go.
Yeah.
But he was a big piece of the staff as a whole, without a doubt. So, and then obviously like the defense spoke for itself, you know, behind you. Like a pitcher's only as good as his defense behind him. So when you got guys like Jorge and Perez over on the left side and Skyler at third, like it was pretty easy. So
yeah, loaded with talent.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Yeah, and it's only going to get better as you keep going up too. Like there's some dudes in the program that can just pick it. Like you look at the Hartford mid infield, like going across the diamond. Just in my head, it's just insane.
It's crazy.
Is there like EJ Andrews might have saved you a few times out in center? Dude man can just track it. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
and with that big body and stuff. But is there a play like you just when you're on the mound this past year, you're just like, holy crap, he just made that. It's like, okay, this is the difference between collegiate and pro, and you were around some dogs in Louisville, not to like them at all, but just, you know.
The one that pops into mind, there was one, I can't remember who we were playing, but it was Gene Perez at second. Gene Perez was at second, and it wasn't a soft ground ball liner, whatever you want to call it at all. And he covered probably 40 feet within half a second, it felt like, and just had a layout grab. And that's one that I really vividly remember, but there was so many along the way that helped the case.
When your defense makes a play like that, you get back on the mound and you're kind of you're like we're ready to go, right? I mean,
you're like, please hit it, like please, like please, like did you see that? Like please do it.
Yeah, right.
Like you will do it again. Like
he's going to do it again too.
Like he will do it again.
Yeah, and that's just got to give that confidence too. Like,
yeah.
Did you ever find yourself like pitching to contact as opposed to pitching to strike out? And that's just a general question, like as a pitcher. Just
honestly,
like
the mentality, like in terms of the mentality, no, but because at the end of the day, I think what helped was it's different. Like that was the difference of like closing versus starting. Definitely. Like you need different things in different scenarios. So like big double play ball. Like I remember Brewer actually had a great point that he told all of us pitchers. He was like, what you need to strive for as a pitcher is being able to get what you need, not what you want. So what he meant by that was like, if you need a double play, you can get the double play ground ball, or if you need a big strikeout, you can strike the guy out. Like that's what the greatest do. So that's what you have to strive to do. So that stuck when he said that. And obviously, don't do it to the level that those guys do it, but it changes like how you think, and it makes things easier a little bit because you're trying to get something different that matches the situation a little bit better. So it keeps your efficiency up. And as long as you're just making pitches, you're doing your job. So
yeah, I love that. That's got me thinking. It's like, yeah, okay, you have to switch it up and you use your arsenal. You don't have to be the big strikeout guy. You have,
that was a big, like, that was one of those comments where I was like,
yeah, right.
No, I was like, whoa.
That's like, yeah,
it was really cool. So that's definitely like a big piece going forward, is like trying to get to that point of being able to do that. So,
yeah, I would say talking to Candy a little bit, he has that mentality. He didn't say it like that, but he's just like, I'm doing whatever I need to give the team the best chance to win. And
yes.
Obviously that's everybody's mental, but like how you go about it is going to be different for people. So like knowing that you don't need to get this big strikeout with one out in the second, like, all right, we just get this double play, or we just pitch to contact or whatever, or being able to be willing to, or whatever.
Right.
Like it changes things a little bit where your mental goes down a little bit. Yeah. Like would 18-year-old Mike be thinking that?
Oh no, no shot. And that's as simple as I can get, is just like, no, it was fastball by him. Just try and throw it by him. No, that's not your best option, especially now. No chance.
Yeah, where everybody can.
Because somebody will time it up and they will park it 450. So that's how it goes.
Do you have a moment like that where you're just like, shit? Okay, so this.
Oh yeah, there was a couple where I just overthought it and was like, maybe if I do this, and like shook off like what Cody put. I was like, and then immediately I'd look at him and I was like, yeah.
My bad. It humbles you a little bit. I remember Blake Goldsberry. He told the story. He shook off Drew Romo one time, and it didn't go well for him. Very similar story to what you just said. And he's like, I'm never doing it again. Whatever you put down, I'm doing it, and I'm not going to question it.
Right.
I'm not going to do this. It's fun. But I mean, to your point, like you're feeling yourself, like you're feeling comfortable in yourself. Like the September, that August month you had was insane. You had the Cal pitcher of the week, the Cal August pitcher of the week month, that postseason all-star nod. I guess that's cool. I don't know what the question is. Again, Mama Prosecky, we're doing the hyping up here.
It was fun. It was really cool to see that. It was cool, without a doubt.
I am curious, just at any level, but I mean, probably for this question more recently, has there been a specific high leverage situation where you strike a dude out and I mean, you're bouncing off the mound, like, hell yeah, let's go get back in the dugout. I don't know if that came up during, a playoff run or anything, but just curious.
There's been a couple. I honestly don't know if I can really think of any, because I'm not a big like hype guy. Like I'm pretty stone faced, I would say, when I'm actually throwing in a game.
Yeah.
But when I was closing, definitely, without a doubt, like getting a big strikeout or whatever, it definitely came out a little bit. But I know there was times last year where it did, and I don't know why I can't think of it, but definitely, especially down the stretch, and like that last Modesto game was a fun one. But I probably would have had I actually got Montez out instead of him muscling a single through to put him ahead. But that's baseball, so it happens. But
yeah, I hearing that you're more the stone faced gamer guy. I mean, it's polar opposites. I mean, Jake Bird with the Rockies, he had to tone it back because he would get so fired up after every strikeout.
Yeah.
It makes it even better when the gamers let out a little emotion.
Yeah. It's almost like funny when it happens because you're just like not even expecting it, but it comes out. It comes out in everybody at some point.
Yeah, you are an athlete. You are in a competition. It's gonna be there. Like my son's doing it now with Mario Kart. He's like, "Did you see that? I just passed you. I just got you with that red shell."
Oh yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Sit back down. Like
that's where it comes out the most, though, is everything but the actual thing we do. Is like you get guys on a ping pong table or something. It gets absolutely.
Fortnite probably gets heated.
Yeah, it gets toxic. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's fun though. Like you can just let it out. Like you don't want to ever hear or repeat what you say on a game. I remember.
Oh no, hot mics are real. Hot mics are real.
It's terrible. It's so bad. The chat does go too hard sometimes.
Hot mics are definitely real.
Yeah. So I guess from reliever, you talked a little bit about like your arsenal was kind of built for a starting role. But like, how has your arsenal changed from Louisville to the Rockies right now? What are you kind of working on adding? I mean, you've been working all off season. So you have some things in mind that you're trying to add or adjust or whatever. I guess kind of where's your arsenal right now?
Right now, liking where it's at, was changing my changeup a little bit just because like metrically, like I was able to throw it for strikes in season more, but it wasn't as effective as it could have been. Honestly, it was just like a slower, crappier fastball. So like that was a big one, just kind of finding stuff to do with that. And that's still a work in progress, but that's kind of the thing that you show up to the field and chase every day is finding just whatever it is, finding that one thing that clicks. And then adding the cutter, like slider cutter, like halfway through the year last year was a big one. Mainly just because it wasn't on scouting reports. I think it was the reason it was effective. So that was a big one. That was like right after All-Star break is when I started throwing that in. Brewer was adamant that I start throwing that. And that was a big one. It honestly probably became like my second favorite pitch to throw. But that one just working on its effectiveness versus like left-handed hitters because the stuff plays well to right-handed hitters, but left-handed hitters as a lefty pitcher, they shouldn't be a kryptonite for you. But like, I feel like numbers kind of show that I have a harder time with lefties than I do righties. So definitely working on how the stuff works with lefties for sure. Like I didn't throw a single left on left changeup all last year. So that's a big piece as to why I'm working on that to change because I'm going to need it. Yeah. So definitely just kind of refining like the usage of stuff for sure is definitely probably the biggest focus.
That kind of leads into, I'm wondering how I'm going to phrase this question, but from an organizational standpoint, to pitch at Coors Field, the Rockies have to develop pitchers in certain ways because they're not going to go out and they're not going to sign the big free agents. It's just going to be tough with the cloud that hangs over Coors Field.
Right.
Is there a focus from your coaches or what you've heard down the line that's consistent that they especially want you to develop a changeup or a cutting slider because of the fact that at altitude the ball just doesn't break the same with a big bending curveball? I'm just curious.
Right. Yeah. No, definitely. They honestly, like my fastball, the numbers on it plays up in the zone best just because it's a riding type of fastball. So keeping that away from the knees is my best thing, is my best bet. But definitely that changeup usage without a doubt. And then the cutter-ish pitch is more just like a gyro ball, which is not really affected by altitude because it's just a gravity ball. So just kind of finding how to make that as effective as it could be, hopefully, at one point down the line. Especially because hopefully one day it has to play there. but pretty much just kind of the usage of everything. But one thing that I love that they do is like each guy is their own guy. So like they're not trying to have guys that should throw a sinker, throw up in the zone, or vice versa, or anything like that. So it's how will your stuff play there, and it's just about optimizing that, which is one of the pieces that I love that they do.
Yeah. That's sweet.
It's cool.
Yeah, I loved hearing you saying individual pitchers. Like everybody's a little bit different, because there was a time where it felt like everybody that came through the system was the same type of pitcher, and that kind of sucked, and it didn't really work probably 10 or so years ago. So the fact that they're kind of adjusting that, and you see it with the big league squad, you see it with all the different arsenals. Like look at all you lefties, right? Like you got Palmquist, you got Joe Rock, you got all these different dynamics coming in different ways. Like they're doing something and they're aware of it, and it's cool to, I guess, as a fan, getting that confirmed, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah, it's a million different slots, a million different actions, a million different movements, and how do we make that as good as it can be? That's the way they do it. So
that's awesome. I love that. That's great. All right, so it's been about 50 minutes. We won't take up too much of your time. We always like to end these big banter sessions with like fun questions to end.
Oh yeah.
So what I usually do is go to the college website, look up your name, and there's usually the blurb at the bottom. Like they ask you favorite movies, favorite athletes, blah, blah, blah. So I want to know if you remember your answers when you answered these two questions, at least at Louisville, and if they changed it all. And then we'll have a few more in there. But what is your favorite movie?
Step Brothers.
Okay.
Should be the answer.
Yes, there were two other answers on there as well, but you are right. Step Brothers.
Step Brothers is definitely one of them for sure. Back then, I'm not entirely sure, but Inception is probably my favorite just movie of all time. I don't know if that's on there.
It's not, but that's a good movie.
What's another good one? Those two are really the only ones that jump to mind. I actually don't know how I answered that question back in the day.
Step Brothers, that came out quick, so
that's automatic.
That's on there. But Star Wars Episode 3.
Oh, yeah, that's the third one.
In the Marvel universe.
Yeah, Marvel universe dwindled out though. That's the sad part. That's the sad part. It dwindled out. Like after it ended as a senior in high school, after I had already submitted those answers, it declined.
No longer thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, no, because me and my buddies were there when it all released. Each movie after like 2016, we were there, so that was cool. But
following along with it.
Yeah, I would
Step Brothers. Step Brothers still your like number one like stupid comedy movie?
Without a doubt. It's a weird amount of quotes that are remembered from that movie, like a weird amount.
That's awesome.
Like unintentionally, I have the McLovin sweatshirt on. That's super bad, but I didn't even realize that.
I love. Awesome. That's my favorite movie. That's my.
I love Superbad too. That's up there.
Like I fall asleep to that about once every 2 weeks on Netflix. I just put it on. It's just there, and
absolutely have to.
Me and the buddy that originally started Blake Street, one of the other OG, like that's our favorite movie, and we can sit there all day and just Superbad quote.
No question.
Yeah. What's your movie, Noah? I don't think I've
honestly. I always get asked this because I'm lacking in the movie department, but I'll say Interstellar just because I only watched it this past year and I thought it was really good. So I had to catch up.
It's right outside for sure. That might be 3 or 4 for me, without a doubt. That's a masterpiece of a film.
Is that Matt Damon?
He's in it, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
That's that one. Yeah,
I'm not the legend.
I'm not a movie guy either, so I feel that, Noah.
Yeah.
Okay, but Interstellar. Okay, maybe that's on my to watch list. We'll see. Who's your favorite athlete? How did you answer, and who is it now?
Back then, I think it was Scherzer.
Yep.
And right now, I honestly don't really know.
You can't say Ohtani because he's on the Dodgers, so.
Yeah,
right.
You have to be careful with what you say now.
I'm not a hitter anymore. So if I was a hitter and like still holding on to that dream of like, I keep the bat, then yeah. But that's a really good question. Honestly, like I'm surprised I didn't say Kluber back then, because Kluber was kind of that like just type of pitcher all the time, and I kind of like that's kind of my thing is like not getting too high, not getting too low. throughout the duration of a start, just kind of riding it out. So Kluber's a good one, and seeing him retire was interesting. But
yeah, the Mad Max. I can see you kind of liking him just because he's not who you are on the mound. He's that different kind of guy. I always tend to kind of lean towards those guys as my favorite player. Like,
oh, no doubt, yeah, those are the ones that bring it in.
Am I not? Yeah,
they bring home the bacon.
Yeah, that's fun. What other sports are you like following? Are you obviously you're probably a football guy, like
big college football guy? Yeah, more college football than NFL. I was very disappointed on Sunday, but like the rest of America. But college football is probably the number one when that rolls around. I love you some college football.
Okay, so then growing up in Chicago, you were a fan of Northwestern?
Big time Blackhawks fan growing up.
Okay.
Because that was when I was like, I think 9 or 10 when their dynasty first started. Actually me and my dad went to one of the Stanley Cup final games back in 2010. That's probably like a Mount Rushmore sports moment for me.
Yeah.
And that was obviously, I went home and I'm like, Mom, why can I not play hockey? I was like, what do we got on this? And that never worked out, but
it's never a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably good again because you're doing well with what you chose. It's working out so far. Were you a Cubs fan or a White Sox fan, or were you the weird one that went Brewers?
Our house. So my mom actually has like the paperwork, like of diehard Cub fan, like signed by Ernie Banks, like all the stuff.
Wow.
So like in 2016 when they won, it was really cool. I wasn't like rooting against them.
Yeah,
but I wasn't like an avid like Cubs type of guy. Me and my dad honestly probably went more White Sox just to spark arguments in the household because all my sisters were Cubs fans too. But honestly, out of the two, I didn't really have a preference. Like when they played each other in the crosstown, I was always like, this is cool.
Yeah,
like I've been to games for both. So
yeah, I always feel like you're told you have to choose one.
Oh, no doubt.
Like in Michigan, I have to choose Michigan or Michigan State. I'm like, no, I'm not doing either one. Go to Nebraska. Like we're just not doing any of it. There's no way. Yeah. So no. Yeah. Right. I'm set. I'm good. My favorite question, and this is the final question. What is your favorite baseball moment for you personally? And you get to be completely selfish 100% and nobody's gonna be mad at you for saying it.
Honestly, like my favorite all time is my junior year of college, our regional against Michigan. Actually, it was the regional final. We were down going into the bottom of the 8th, and we put a rally together. My teammate hit probably the farthest home run I've ever seen to put us up by 2, and I was like on the mound warming up. Like just throwing right before, just in case we didn't take the lead, and he put it in the parking lot. So we took the lead, and like after that, it was just blackout. Like I don't really remember much, but I just know like it was that moment for sure. Because our like 9th inning song, the song I always like went out to was Joker and the Thief in the stadium. Like always goes crazy. So they're like pounding their feet, everybody's clapping to the beat, and I was just running out there and warming up. That's definitely number one without a doubt.
Yeah, that's sick. That's awesome.
Yeah, and you probably remember play by play, like that home run going over the fence and just crushed and everything involved with it.
Everybody, like just hearing like off the bat and everybody like standing up and screaming, and you see all the hands go up in unison. It was like
that's sick.
Yeah, like movie type stuff. So it was definitely, that's without a doubt number one. So.
Yeah, and then coming in and locking in it.
Yeah, that's an easy number one, no question.
Yeah, you know how many pitches you threw that day? Because I do. See how good.
It wasn't a clean inning. I know that. I'm pretty sure first pitch was like 104 to the gap, so I gave up like a double. After all that, everybody's like, "Oh dear."
Settle in.
Yeah, I think it was probably like 20 something. That would probably be my guess.
14 pitches.
That's
efficient. Oh yeah, it was efficient. 10 strikes.
I'll take it.
Yeah, double to deep center, ground out to second, through to third, struck out swinging, flight out to center. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, okay. Yeah, I can only imagine. That's cool.
That was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. Michael, thank you for hanging out with us. This was a good time.
Oh yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. It was a good time.
Yeah. Thank you.
Again, you are one of our dudes now, and we are going to do whatever we can to get your name out there and just keep spreading the love. And for you and all your teammates, like we are minor league through and through. It is a thing.
Right.
So we got you, but appreciate you doing this, and maybe we catch up in the middle of the season. Just a quick mini banter session, see how you're doing, and
for sure.
Good luck, and just go dominate. Just go dominate people.
Yeah, hoping it's a good one. Just trying to keep the ball rolling. So just putting our head down. So
let's do it. All right, appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you for watching and listening. Please check out our link tree for more content.